What up, peeps? Mr. Bones back at you. Day 2 of Wild Eye Week. Brought to you by Bronco Juggalo and the Super Slash Bros. And what we're talking about is 2020's The Wicked Ones, which is a sequel to 2017's The Wicked One, which the first one is not Wild Eye. And in the first one, you meet Alex Curtis and Adam Lawson. They're dating, and you meet their brother, who I want to say his name was Owen. I can't remember. They have a rocky relationship, and they're trying to reconciliate or whatever, try to get closer. And they're on their way to some kind of horror Halloween fest type concert thing, and along the way stop at their old childhood home, which is their parents bought, but it's actually also the childhood home of Colin Miller, the Wicked One, who, when the movie comes on, you see a voice is talking to him through the cornfield and convinces him his mother and father and either his sister or his girlfriend. They didn't really specify, you can't really tell. But he murders his parents and a young girl, hangs his parents up on crosses, and then he gets carried off to a mental hospital. So many years later, he's like 18, 19 now, he escapes the mental hospital and goes home, which is now the home of Alex and her brothers. Well, they don't live there now, and he starts to pick them off. So then you go to the 2020 sequel, The Wicked Ones, which is what we're here to talk about. It is directed by Tori Jones and written by Tori Jones and Nathan Thomas Milliner, starring Katie Stewart as Alex Lawson, Dale Milliner as Adam Lawson, and they now have children, which is Skylar Guthrie playing Daniel Lawson, Brandy Botkin playing Jenna Lawson, and Morgan Pyle playing Kendall Lawson. While returning to Carpenter Falls, the Lawson family come to the final confrontation with the Wicked One, a serial killer whom the last encounter has haunted them for a decade. So when this movie comes on, you meet these psycho little kids. They're like 12 years old, and they just randomly decide to murder their parents. They're discussing it, and they show the parents in the bathroom brushing their teeth, and the dad's like, "Did the kids seem a little off to you tonight? They didn't talk much during dinner." The mother jokes and says, "Well, look who their parents are. Can you blame them for being a little off?" But anyway, the father goes to the kitchen to get a drink of water or something, and there's his daughter out of nowhere just standing there smiling with her hands behind her back. The son reaches his hand out from under the table and cuts his Achilles tendon. Their names are Maddie and Miles. I don't know if they're supposed to be twins, but they're fucking nuts. So once he cuts his dad's Achilles tendon and he falls, they both just proceed to stab the living shit out of him and kill him. Then the mother gets out of the shower and comes down there, and then they do the same to her. And then they get carried off to somewhere, a mental hospital or somewhere, both smiling at the cameras, proud of what they did. Then the movie comes on and we meet the Lawson family, which is the two survivors from the first movie and their kids. Their son, Daniel Lawson, is in a rock band, and he booked a gig at a place which is in Carpenter Falls, which is where his parents are from, which is where all the shit went down in the first movie. So they go to their gig, the sister's there. She's dating one of the band members. And anyway, they have their performance and they're done and on their way home and they decide to pull over the side of the road to mess around. The sister and her boyfriend, the lead singer, is in the back seat messing around. And then there's a funny scene I just have to mention because I know Hobbs would want me to, where Daniel and his girlfriend are leaning on the front of the car. And the girlfriend says, there's a path over there, we could go for a walk. And he says, you and hikes don't really match. And she said, I was a Girl Scout for 8 years. And he said, you were a Girl Scout? Do you still have your vest? And she said, so you fantasize about little girls and their Girl Scout outfits? He said, no, I fantasize about you and your vest, trying to sell me your cookie. She said, oh, so you want my cookie? He said, yeah, maybe even your brownie. And she said, you stay away from my brownie. That shit cracked me up. So they go for their walk, and then they end up on the land of Colin Miller's childhood home, which he has returned. And I forgot to mention the psycho kids from the beginning of the movie are 18 now, and they're being transported somewhere, and Colin stops the van and releases them. And they're fucking nutcases now. One of them giggles and dances around, got long blonde hair and dances around and acts like she's fucking Harley Quinn. And the other one has a mask on similar to Colin's, kind of looks like a scarecrow, but he likes to take it off and on, and he has long hair and acts like fucking Charles Manson, and he's psychotic. So they end up at the Miller house, farmhouse, and they're like, oh, this is awesome. Let's go in and check it out. And the girlfriend's afraid, and he's like, what are you afraid of? It's just an empty house. She's like, yeah, it could be the home of snakes and rats and stuff. But the Psycho Twins show up, along with Colin, who is the Wicked One, and all hell ensues. Like I said, the one acts like he's fucking Charles Manson, or someone worse. He's a nutcase, laughing and giggling and doing all this crazy stuff. They get a hold of the sister and got her tied up in the kitchen with her arms up in the air. Then there's a rape insinuated scene. I don't know if he's actually doing it or dry humping. Either way, I don't care for that shit in movies. And the mother realizes the kids aren't showing up, so she gets the cops and head to the farm to look for the kids. And then once the parents and the cops get there, it's a big showdown between the Psycho Circus here and the Lawsons. It was an enjoyable watch, a nice continuation of the first movie, but I think I enjoy the first movie more. But if you've seen the first movie and you would like to see a continuation of the story, I'd say check it out. And that is what I watched. Peace.